Okay, so we're going to be reading Batman Scarecrow Fear. This is a reprint of the original comic, which is Detective Comics number 571 from 1987. Fear for sale. Scarecrow's back. Spoiler alert. Alright, so the story opens up. Bruce and Jason, they're at a racetrack. They are observing the drivers in response to past incidents that happened in the week. There's were two of them. One was a diver tried to do an impossible flip, and he ended up breaking his back. And then there was another guy, a hang glider, who I guess did too low of a dive, and he crashed and almost killed himself. And as the race is about to start, the driver named Jack Hogan, who was won the star driver, won the Indianapolis 500 a couple times, and he has a suspicious look on his face. And the race starts, and Bruce and Jason are observing him, and they can tell that he has that shitty grin on his face, and he's driving pretty recklessly. I think something's up, so they take off, and in the mere seconds get into their outfits somehow with no one seeing. And so meanwhile, the racetrack, Hogan's driving in the number 7 car, and he tries to cut off another driver, and because he's being so reckless and carefree, he causes a crash, and his car crashes and catches on fire, and is only mere seconds away from being pretty much the tank exploding and him dying. And Batman and Robin arrive on the racetrack. For some reason, security doesn't stop them or anything, but so Batman's like, I gotta get in there and get him. And it's too damn hot, so you're gonna have to take this hose and spray water on me. So he does make some fire resistance, so he can at least last a couple seconds to get in there and get Jack Hogan out, which he does. He goes in and gets him out, and he's blazing like hell. But they spray him down. Batman's cooled down. Hogan's cooled down. So everything's good. So they go and they take Jack to the hospital. And Batman's like, you're lucky. You could have died. You could have killed people. And Jack's like, I know, but you know what? I'll do it again. And Batman's like, you know what? Something's going on here. So they go back to the Batcave. He takes a sample of Jack Hogan's blood, and he's running like diagnostics and stuff, and comparing with all the other blood samples he has in the Batcave. And turns out that the match he has is it's a match to the chemical that the Scarecrow uses in his fear toxin. And then we get a little background check from Robin on how he was always made fun of for his appearance by these skanks that he teaches, and from the troublesome childhood he has, why he studies fear, and that's why he uses it, and that's why he becomes the Scarecrow. So Batman and Robin are like, all right, let's suit up, let's get out there and go find this guy. So Batman's off doing whatever, and I presume either going beating up some shitheads in an alley or going and getting info on Scarecrow. Meanwhile, he has Robin watching over the Jack Hogan's room in case anyone would try and come in, and they have the room bugged so he can listen. And Jack Hogan's just resting in his bed, and someone comes in, and he's like, oh, the person asks, are you doing okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, wait a second, you're the fucking Scarecrow. And yeah, Scarecrow's there, and he's like, oh, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the drug. And the guy's like, that didn't help. You said it would take away the fears, not take away my common sense. And Scarecrow's like, yeah, I know. Now if if you want that drug out of you, you got to give me 50 grand. And at this point, Robin crashes into the window and he attempts to take the Scarecrow on, which he just fails miserably. The Scarecrow breaks open a straw, exposing Robin to the fear toxin, and he starts just fucking tripping balls. And it's just like he sees like Ghost Rider, Batman, and he's like, "You failed me, you failed me. You know, you're supposed to save me." Blah 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 blah, and then and Robin's just freaking out. And then he just breaks down and just passes out. He just had enough. And Scarecrow, he puts him he kidnaps him, and he says to Hogan, he's like, "All right, this is your last shot. If you want this antidote, you give me 100 grand now." And Hogan's like, "Nope, not paying." And Scarecrow's like, "All right, that's fine. Window's open, so you can just jump out there and you'll be good." Hogan's like, "Sure, okay." Jumps out, splat. Street pizza. So then it cuts to a house on the outskirts of Gotham, and we see a the Daredevil, Evil Knievel kind of guy, Alvin Kenner. He's sitting there going over his next crazy ass stunt, and Scarecrow shows up, and he's like, "Hey, I got this thing that'll help you get over your fear, so you can do this stunt with no problem. How do you think about that?" Well, I guess he already asked that, and he wants an answer. And the guy's like, "Nope, I'm good. You can keep your lovely drugs." And Scarecrow's like, "Sure. Real quick, you got a lighter?" And the guy's like, "Somewhere." And he gets shot in the neck by a dart. And Scarecrow's like, "I'm not stupid, Batman. You know, that disguise was terrible." The Kenner, he has a fear of pyrophobia. He's a fear of fire. And Batman's pissed out, so he's like, "Ugh, not even Robin would fall for that. Burn." And so Scarecrow shoots him again 4 times in the chest with the same chemicals that all the athletes and stuff have been getting. So all the stuff that he's been saying, now he's going to deal with all lack of fear and recklessness and stuff. So Scarecrow takes off, and he's like, "All right, well, when you're done fucking around here, I have an invitation for if you want to come save your buddy, or you want to come try and save your buddy." So Batman passes out for a little bit, then we finally comes to his senses. He opens the invitation, and it's the R cut off of Robin's outfit. And she's like, "All right, I'm going to go get this guy. I'm going to go save my buddy." And he has this really whacked out grin on his face, similar to the one that Jack Hogan had on his face and earlier in the story when he was starting to act all careless. So we cut to the Atlas concrete plant where Scarecrow has Robin captured, and Scarecrow has all these traps and stuff ready for him. And Robin's like, "Well, I don't know what you're wasting your time for. He's gotten through all these traps before." And Scarecrow's like, "Yeah, he did. But now he's careless, and he's too overconfident, so he's bound to fail then." And Robin's like, "Oh shit, he's right." And yeah, he is. Batman shows up outside the plant. He jumps down, and the first trap Scarecrow has he has 4 trucks that are all pretty much just going to drive towards each other and smash into bits. And Batman thinks that that this is nothing, and which he's trying to fight this, and he knows, he's like, "I can't be doing this. I gotta get my shit together, and if I don't, it's gonna be too late, and I'm gonna be smashed to bits, and Robin's gonna die." And yeah, so he does. He jumps into one of the trucks, and they all smash together, and he escapes the trap. He sneaks in the plant via a conveyor belt that has a bunch of grinders, and he's like, at first, like, the carelessness jumps back in and he's like, oh, you know what? I can just fit right between that, no problem. And he's like, what the hell am I talking about? We shred to bits. So he activates an explosive charge on his belt and throws that in, and that blows it to bits and clears the path. And then he jumps down, and he's like, I've got to get my shit together. Like, if I keep doing this, I'm bound to fail. And so Scarecrow's like, all right, well, I only got one trap left, but there's no way he's going to get out of this. And Batman goes in the hallway. It's all clear. And he's like, all right, this shouldn't be too bad now. And all of a sudden, some Indiana Jones-esque trap appears with some, I don't even know what to call it, a spike cylinder, I guess would be the best way. Comes loose and starts rolling down the hallway, and Batman has nowhere to go, so he just runs. And then there's this big pit that they fill with water, so there's only one way to go, so that's where Batman goes. He jumps down into the water, and then all of a sudden these big-ass machine guns come out of the wall and start ripping through the water with bullets. For 10 minutes it goes on, so Batman's done. He's Swiss cheese, he's dead. And yeah, that's what Scarecrow says. He's like, there's no way. He's either shot to death or he drowned, because there's no way anyone can survive that. Robin's like, you know what? He's like, he's dead. Can't be. Like, I can't believe Batman's dead. And then Batman just slams the door open. And he's like, no, I'm not. And Scarecrow's like, how the hell did he get out of there? And then Batman just punches him in the fucking face. And he's like, you'll never know. And so Batman goes, he unties Robin, and he's like, all right, we got him, we got this antidote, so now we can give it to all the victims. The Scarecrow's drugs will be out of their system then, and they'll be okay. And then Robin's like, all right, just how the hell did you get out of that trap? And the man was like, well, I'd either get shot to death or I'd drown. So what I did was I stuffed myself in the one corner that the bullets would not hit, and I waited out, but obviously I couldn't hold my breath for that long. So when he jumped in the water, he had the air in that was in the cape. He scooped that up, and then he inhaled that until the guns ran out of ammo. And then that's how he escaped. He got out of the trap. Smart guy. And then Ron was like, all right, but how about the drugs that he shot into you? How'd you get past that? And Batman's like, well, I just thought of the most fearful thing I could think of. And Robin's like, what was it? And Batman's like, you know what? I'll tell you. At some point, I'll tell you. And then we see that he was imagining that Jason's gravestone, that he was killed by the Scarecrow. And that someday he'll tell him. Maybe. And that's how it ends.